Hey, what's up, Silas here. In this video, I'm going to be asking you guys, is Trumpophobia as real as Islamophobia? I mentioned in a previous video called The Truth About Arachnophobia, about how the film, I think it was in the early 90s, Arachnophobia, was misnamed since in that film and in general, there may be very good reasons to be afraid of spiders. So I was asking, with Islam, are there actual reasons to be afraid of Islam due to something like as simple as most of the actual terrorist attacks? Now, if you don't count state sanctioned ones, which is like a government attacking somebody else, which does cause terror, if that's not counted in, and terrorism is just somebody using violence with an explicit political concern, saying, I am doing this so I can achieve X political result, most of them right now for the last couple of years have been by self-avowed Muslims doing it for Islam. They say, because I'm Muslim, I'm doing this, or because you're doing this to other Muslims, I'm doing this. So if that's actually true, is that a valid reason? Are the percentages high enough for you to actually have an actual phobia? So now that's the same thing I go with Trump now. President Donald J. Trump of the United States of America has finished almost one calendar year. He has had some rather major results. One big win right now is the tax reform that just came through. So people are saying, oh, he doesn't do stuff. But anyway, so what are the things? Now we have almost a year. You look at the actions that he does, what was said before, what were the things that Trump was supposedly going to have happen? Is Trump going to destroy the world? Just how some people say, oh, you're too afraid of Muslims. People are trying to say, oh, Muslims are going to destroy everything. We need to be worried about all Muslims. We need to ban all Muslims, this Muslim ban, this and this. It's not true, because most of the Muslims in the world are peaceful. And most of the people who do claim to follow Islam, to be Muslim, are not out there committing terror. That's a clear thing to say. So now with Trump, with President Donald J. Trump, can you say from the year, can you go and see the things that he's done and then said yes? Now, most of the things that he's done, if you say maybe 1% of the things he's done are what things you consider to be really dangerous, then is that enough to say that you should be afraid of Trump? You should have the fear of Trump. Everything he does is horrible. It's going to ruin the United States of America. It's going to destroy this. It's going to destroy that. So that's one thing I'm asking with the Trumpophobia thing. If you think Islamophobia is an actual term that should be used, is that based on the same kind of fears that people who are afraid of Trump and just the general Make America Great Again movement, do you feel those are the similar things? Because I'll hear as people talk about something, I've seen people talk about how, oh, if you wear a Make America Great Again hat, you get harassed. And then somebody says, oh, when have you been harassed doing that? Has that happened to you? And that's the same thing when people say, look, Muslims do this. And then people say, oh, how many Muslims have attacked you? When have you been harassed by a Muslim? When has a Muslim like blown something up by you? So that same thing can work in both ways. Different things happen for the same reason, or the same things happen for different reasons. So that's the thing I'm wondering. Why is one thing Islamophobia being used? Why is Trumpophobia not being used? Why do you guys think? Um, Adding one more thing about the whole terrorism thing. Another thing that just came up, there was an attack in Melbourne by a Muslim who drove his car through, I think knocked down 14 people, drove his car down. This was just 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago or yesterday. Today is the 22nd of December 2017. But so far it was reported as just somebody with mental illness. And that's just showing, first of all, with the whole mental illness thing, another thing that comes up very often is people say, oh, whenever a Muslim is involved, people always say it's terrorism. But when it's a non-Muslim or somebody else, or especially a white person, they say that it's mental illness. They never say it's a lone wolf when it's a Muslim involved. But so far, that seems to be the case with this situation. Now, that does cause terror. It is similar to a terror attack. But if the person himself doesn't come out and say that I was doing this to achieve political ends, then it's not terrorism. It still is an actual issue of attack. It still is violence. And the weird thing about this mental issues thing that made me think, it's kind of really disturbing to think about. Okay, not disturbing, but it sometimes gives me pause to think about the fact that these people, not every person who does a terrorist act is actually not mentally imbalanced. In the definition, what they say, when they say, "Oh, this is a crazy person. This person went crazy and did this." I get that, but most of the people I think who do this have rationalized it in a way in their mind where they would be sane to do everything else, like in their daily life. Because if someone is crazy, you're not like, "Oh, I'm going to turn on crazy now and then go here to this other place." You're going to be crazy all through your life. But they have these situations where it's not temporary insanity, but they've actually reasoned it out. And going back to the definition of what terrorism is, if an act is done by a state, if a government does something, it's not considered to be terrorism, even though they are doing that to achieve political ends. But if a private citizen does that, they could be considered a terrorist, even if they're doing it exactly for it. Like, let's say a soldier does something and he does that act, but it's on order by the government, then it's not terrorism. But if it's an insurgent or if it's just like a non-combatant, that can be considered terrorism. Really weird about that. I think that's one of the terms that probably needs to be looked at again and probably reviewed and see what actually works with that. So let me know what you guys think. Again, Trumpophobia, is Trumpophobia as real as Islamophobia? And if not, if yes, and also why don't you think Trumpophobia is a term that's being used more? And have you heard it before, and would you use it and find times to use it? Okay, like, share, and subscribe. Links below to the merchandise store. Check that out. And Merry Christmas and seasons, holiday greetings, seasons greetings. What do people say? There's so many seasons. I know there's Christmas for some people, there's Hanukkah for some people, there's some Kwanzaa for some small group of people. There's other holidays here, New Year's, whatnot. There's non-secular people, but yeah. Anyway, non-secular would be religious. I'm signing off. Goodbye.